Right then, let's dive into this final part of our 12 principles of animation tutorials. It's been quite a few years since I've done a flight cycle. I've done a few in the past for a few shorts and on an animation course, but yeah, been quite a few years since I've done a flight cycle. So let's dive in. It's generally along the lines of a walk cycle, around 25 frames ish for a flight cycle. What we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to explore the final 4 parts of the 12 principles of animation, which is timing, exaggeration, I don't know if I've spelled it right, solid drawing, and appeal. So that will make all 12 parts when we explore these final 4 parts. And obviously we will be incorporating principles 1 to 8 as well, because to create any decent animation you've obviously got to incorporate all the principles, all 12. So I only discovered that the other day. It's clear the screen. I've been rubbing it all out like that. You can just click that to trash it. Anyway, so here we got our screencast key. He's got our epic pen. This is another one of my animation fundamentals rigs, by the way. This is quirky. You can download this on Superhive. It's only a couple of dollars. It's perfect for learning 3D animation. Obviously following along to this tutorial or using it on your own projects, your games or films. A couple of dollars. So I recommend that. So let's dive into that. We got our animation camera there, but I like to have it as 1080 by 1920 for Instagram. Even though no one follows me, boo-hoo. We'll try and tweak the camera for this a bit. Maybe do a side view, just for now. Let's just zoom out a little bit. We've got a front on view. Very basic linear staging. We can work in layout mode for a bit while we get the lock the stuff in. So yeah, let's the most important thing, have a swig of tea. So let's think about blocking in these poses then for this animation. So a flight cycle. Generally you'll get a little bit of up and down movement in the body. As that and the wings obviously flap. So generally as the wings go downwards, your body will push up a little bit. And then the opposite way, the body goes down a little bit. So it's a little bit along the lines of the octopus animation we done. So yeah, I can't get out of the habit of that. Just rubbed it out. I could have trashed it. God, I'm waffling now, right. So let's start blocking in these poses then. So obviously you want your auto key on. You want to go into pose mode. You want to hit A to select all your controls. I. If you click this arrow here, you'll see all your summary of your different controls. We've obviously got our main control which drives the body. once you've set it on this master control, you can just click H to hide that. Don't need, just set the master control once really. Let's think about, we're going to have this as a cycle. So let's just put it as, 30 for now. We'll have this as a cycle. So let's think about this first pose. I think we'll have like, let's enable our X. Going to rotate local mode. Let's think about getting these wings up into a position. Obviously I've set up this rig so it stops there, so it doesn't cut into the eye. I think we'll near enough go right up, because we want to incorporate an exaggeration. Generally a bird, wings, they're not going to go that high like that. They're generally something like somewhere there, not there. So we're exaggerating that. We'll try and exaggerate the downwards as well. So let's try and get a pleasing sort of curve. We'll just see how we go on it. We're just moving all these controls now. Maybe that's a little too exaggerated. We will tweak the curve in the graph editor. We'll leave it. We'll try and get a decent little bit of a C curve in there. So we're thinking about these 4 principles, aren't we, already now? So we're thinking about some appeal. And generally you'll get appeal by adding a bit of a C or S curve into your animation. Let's just leave it something like that for now. That can be the first pose that we're going to cycle. Now I'm thinking, obviously A, we can copy, paste that into 30. Now, so we've got our first start and end pose. I'm thinking about the position in the world. I mean, we can leave it at the origin really. That's generally what you'll do for games, animate stuff at the origin and then move it to your desired location in your game or scene. Let's just do it at the origin. So let's think about our middle pose around 15. I. And obviously let's think about the body. As the wings are pushing down, the body's going to push up a little bit. We'll push that body up. Not sure how far yet. But what you can do, you can grab all these controls here and go to Alt R to clear your rotations and start going the opposite way. Obviously if you've got a floor there, you'll be cutting through the floor. We ain't got to worry about that for now. Let's just start blocking in these wings as they go downwards. Again, we'll look for a bit of a C curve. See how it feels. Let's just check our settings here. Make sure you're at 24 FPS. That's the standard for film and games generally. 24 or 30. When I'm animating for Roblox at the minute, that's 30. But generally, I like to work on 24 FPS for film. If we just use our arrow key now, we can see what we've got. can probably add a little bit of movement on these eyes. But let's not worry about that. Let's worry about the main action for now. Let's think about the breakdown pose in the middle. So somewhere around 7. Let's drag these wings a little bit. Mainly on the ends. I'll get the drag. But the feathers, generally on birds, dragging. And if we go to somewhere around 23, 22, 23, we can add a few breakdowns here of it dragging back the opposite way. Dragging and overlapping. So obviously if you think about it, I'll put some reference in the description. If you think about it, as these wings come down, they're going to drag, aren't they? Because the main action is happening around here. The root bone. The rest of it is like successive breaking of joints. And because it's against the wind, these outer parts of the wing are going to drag more as they come down, and obviously as they come up, they're going to drag as well. We'll offset them in the graph editor as well. So we go in, body goes up as the wings come down, as the wings go back up. Body goes down, so wings down, wings down, body up. You think about it logically, that's what would happen. Then the opposite way. So if we just hit play on that for now and see what we got, there's a basic cycle. Just leave that loop in and have a look. That's not too bad, is it, for a few basic key golden poses? What we'll do, we'll probably double that across. Add a little blink in there, that's more of a polish thing. That's your basic wings flapping, isn't it? Let's have a little look at the body. We could possibly add a touch. What we do want to do is go to A and key all your channels to keep it clean. So I'll move the wings, but I only keyed what I moved. I generally like to key every control to keep it clean. So rotation wise in the body, look at it from the side. So you're going slightly rotating there, and then the opposite way. Just to add a little bit of interest. It may be better the other way. You could go -1, 1. It's just a case of playing around. 1, -1, -1, 1, 1. And you might decide you don't really need that at all. You could just keep it at the same. -3, really. You can copy that. Copy that value. Paste it. Paste it. Paste. Paste. And just keep it at the same tilt. That's more of a polish thing. What we really want to do, we're going off piste a bit here, is concentrate on these wings, really. So what we'll do now, we've got the basic key poses in here, haven't we? Let's start moving into the graph editor then. Control S to save. Let's go into the graph editor. Let's go to only selected keyframe handles and don't show your cursor. Take this, let's just take this jumper off. Getting a bit warm, I think winter's, thank God, finally moving on. About time in this country, England, weather's terrible. So what we'll do, we'll look at our route first thing. Our location. So we're thinking about timing, aren't we? That's one of the main things we wanted to cover now. So let's try and get the timing right on this body. What you can do, you can go to cycles to get a perfect loop. We're not sure of the timing just yet, so we'll leave that. Let's go to F3, calculate. We've got a little motion path. If you zoom right in, look, and see our motion path. So what we could do, in the middle, looks like it's the, go to there. Keyframe was on 7 where the dots are, look. We could move that out a little bit, couldn't we? And as it comes back down, we could move that out. And now, we've created a subtle arc. Obviously we're working on the timing, but we're incorporating a little arc in there as well. So that motion path is very useful, creating a little arc. And let's just think about the Y location for a minute. Let's go to I, only selected. Let's slow out a little bit more of here. Up. A little bit of hang time by tweaking your handles. So the wings are like pushing and the force is pushing it out slightly. You can zoom into your Z, tweak these handles a little bit just to create a bit of contrast. A little bit of slow in and out. Have a look at your X, hide the others, X location. Don't really want much side to side. You could maybe add a touch just to see how it feels. And control middle click, zoom into your curve, press play. So you added a little bit of dirt, I guess, call it. Adding a touch of side to side. And that timing's not too bad. But what we'll do, so if you go to F3, calculate, it'll recalculate for you. You can see you've got your nice little loop, little arc, instead of it being dead straight. Let's just loop that and have a swig of tea. Control S to save. Let's go to, we go to pose, motion paths clear, and clear that for now. Let's go into our timeline and just tweak the timing out of interest. We'll go all channels to keep it clean. Let's just try it with 2 frames less, just to see how it feels. I've set that to, never know where to put this epic pen. Set that to 28. Let's have a look at that. Touch faster. And let's set it to, it was on 30, wasn't it? Let's set it to 32. Just to see how it feels when it's a bit slower. But it'd be slow if it was more weighty. But I think that 28 wasn't too bad, was it? Or we could meet it in the middle. Maybe go for 29. Just moving the timing a bit. Obviously, when you move your timing about, you'll move your curve about a bit, so you just need to go in. Just do a bit of curve tweaking. Let's have a look at our rotation channels. Delete on your numpad, zooming. And we didn't really have her, we just had it at the tilty, didn't we there? Could we just add just a touch of dirt to it? Known as animation dirt, this. Can't really see it, but you can feel it. So it feels as if it should be hanging a little bit more. So maybe slow out a little bit quicker. Reach the plateau. If you right click and go to handle type 3, you just move the one side in. Create a little bit more hang time. Let's just move that knot. High. Only selected channels. A little bit of slowing. That's not too bad. We'll obviously polish that curve up a bit. That can be the general motion of the body. Now let's have a look at our wings now then. Let's select all our wings there. So it's our Z channel where the main magic of these wings is happening. What we can do, let's hide all the channels we don't really want to work on by just clicking this eye. Because generally there's not going to be a lot of movement in the other channels except a little bit of animation dirt. What we'll do, we'll just hide the others. And now you can see we've just got the Z rotation channels available. So you got 6 there, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's bring that out there. Let's analyse what we've got. What we can do to start with, we can grab these 5 and you want the last one the same as the first. What we'll do, drag that and hold X. Deselect that one. Make sure you just got them 4. Hold X, drag. Then just them 3. Hold X. And drag and hold X. Then just them 2. Drag a bit, hold X. Then the last one. Drag a bit. Hold X. Now you've offset them curves now. So that one hits, then that, then that. And you carry on down the chain. Let's look at this route. Slow out. Hang there. Look at the second one. Sometimes it's best just to work with a couple. You don't confuse yourself. You can clearly see that that's hitting, then that's hitting, and then that will hit there. See what I mean? So you're creating your overlap there. Now slow out a bit to the top. Move your curves about. Select the third one. You'll obviously need to tweak these a bit more in polish. Select your fourth one. So you don't want it stopping there. So select 3 and 4. You want it to keep on moving. That's why you got to go into your graph editor. Some people get scared of the graph editor. You don't want to be. So you move, that curve moves down, different direction. So you're dragging there. Then your final one. Let's look at these two. 1, 2. Hide the scale, I don't need that. Again. Not really going to be. So you've created your free overlap. But then you've got to look in the viewport and think about your mechanics now. Not really going to be dragging there. So let's look at it. You're going to come out of there. Let's look at these two here. You can do a bit of straight ahead. Move these two over. To create a bit of drag. There's some drag. Some more drag. And then round about there. Drag. You should come out of the drag. It drags for the first part of the cycle really. Just move your handles a bit. So nice appealing drag there. So let's now select all of these. We'll need to tweak it a little bit. If we press play, we've got a basic flight cycle, haven't we? Still far from perfect. We need to do some tweaking and stuff. If we think about this 9 to 12, you've got some appeal in there, and we've got some exaggeration, principle 10, and 12 is appeal. Created a bit of a C curve and an S curve for appeal. We exaggerated it. Generally a bird is something like that. We've exaggerated it over to there. Let's just look at our route. Boom. Tweak your curves. Control S to save. Go through your curves. If we go into our timeline there, we'll see that the first and last frame are exactly the same. If you go to 28 and truncate, I think that's the word, your final frame, you'll get your perfect loop then. So just by getting rid of that last frame, so they're not exactly the same, you've got your perfect loop. And to me, that feels better. Just by losing that one frame. So it's like any kind of art, even the slightest little differences. So I think slightest little tweaks can make all the difference. That's what they say about art. Even the slightest little change can make all the difference. That feels nice and fluid, doesn't it? Wings still need a bit of work. And obviously, we need to go into the other side. Just go all channels. We need to go into our graph editor. We need to do the same for this other wing now, which is polishing your curves up. So we'll go in. We'll start tweaking our curves a bit. Let's just start on the root, slow out a bit, and delete keys as well in the graph editor. Keep things nice and clean. Goes downwards. And create a bit of hang time by pulling your handle. Let's move on to your second one. But what we do want to do first, like we did before, is grab all these, leave your first and last, drag and hold X, and it's just these four, drag and hold X, then these three, drag, then these two, and this final one. You might think, why did you re-drag over it when it was selected? Sometimes, even though you can't see it, it still moves it. So I just like to re-drag over it just in case. I've been caught by that in the past. We tweaked our roots. Let's have a look at the next one along. Do a bit of tweaking on it. What we'll do now, I think we'll select all of them to see how it's looking. And just visually have a look there and look in your view. Control S to save. Let's have a look at these two so you don't get too confused with Spaghetti Junction, as I like to call it. Too many curves. I see by moving that you've kept it flowing, haven't you? Kept it nice and fluid. Let's have a look at these two. These are quite important. So, as it comes down, we'll go to that and do a bit of straighter heading to create a bit of drag. Select them both. That one will be offset from that. So that one hits in that one. Tweaking your curve, having a look how it looks. So as you hit halfway, start coming out of your drag in. You can select a few at a time, move them about, see how it looks. And again, as it's coming out, create a nice bit of drag. The ends, it goes up. And generally, you don't want, you want it to be slightly different to the other side, even if it's slightly. So it's not dead symmetrical. So just select controls, you think. And just move your curves about. Look at them two curves and tweak your handles about. Press play. We probably need to do a little bit of timing tweaks. But in general, that's a basic flight cycle, that is. A nice looping flight cycle. Timing feels a little bit linear. You still need to do a bit of polishing on it. If we just look at our other controls out of interest, we've got a blink. We've got a blink there. Move our eyes about. And on these stalks, we could probably add a bit of animation. Just so we get a tiny little bit of movement. So if we look at maybe X there, let's hide our other channels. Or would it be better in, maybe better from the front in Z, really? I suppose it depends on what angle we can have it as for final, but you could do the same kind of things as the wings, very subtly. Whereas you could maybe try an opposite action, which is always good in animation. If them wings are going down, the eye stalk would go slightly up. Like that. Very subtle. It's a bit more animation, isn't it? And if you select the next stalk up, you could do the same sort of thing. Move it down a little bit. And these two as well. And on the last one, could do the same again. Move it down a touch. And you can do your old offsetting trick. So select them two. Drag over them. Drag and hold X. Select that one. Drag and hold X. Press play. See how it looks. Just a bit of basic movement on your eye stalks. Simple bit of free overlap, as it were. And you'll need to polish the curves up a bit. Tweak the timing a bit. That's just an idea of something else you could do. And if you go to, you got them three selected, you go to cycles, we'll get more of a perfect loop then. So the curves flow more. Tweak your angles a bit. Just a little bit of movement on the eye, and you could do the same for the other channels. You might decide you don't want the opposite action. So just out of interest, you could delete these keys and just try it the other way. Stuff like that. I'll just undo that and leave it as it was. I'm just saying it's quite powerful, the graph editor, changing animations. That can be the eye. Need to do the same on the other side. Let's just have a look at the timing of this body again. Still feel we need a touch more hang time on that. So I'll go in and polish. Our timing. We've got some decent timing in there. We've exaggerated these wings, and we will exaggerate it a bit more. What we can also do is grab all these controls here, and again, add cycles. And it'll flow a lot nicer. Grab the other side, all these controls, go over it, cycles to get a nice loop. And you'll go in and polish your curves more to get them nice and. So if you move that, you'll get a bit of a there, so you need to remember to move the other side as well. So we need to go in and polish them curves up a bit. It's at the top. Probably need a little bit more drag as it comes out. You might think you want to drag that a bit more. And so your curves not flowing great there. So just go in and get a nice flowing curve by polishing it. Move your handles so they flow. Your curves flow nicely. So we'll keep looping that for a minute. What we also want to do is if we go into animation now, you can see from the front, Control S to save. What I might do on this one is do like a bit of a camera animation where you do a few cycles from the front. And then it maybe moves. I'm thinking, let's turn off auto key for a minute. Could maybe go into the side like that. And you could maybe go into global. See from sort of. Obviously I'm rushing here just to give you an idea, to give you more of a perspective view. And just on that point, that's your, just zoom into this camera here. Let's get a better view of that. Go to local. Let's just tweak this about. Obviously I'm doing this on the fly, so it's not going to be perfect. But that is our 11th point. Solid drawing. It's got depth to it. If you think about drawing when you're trying to, excuse a bad drawing, but when you're trying to create a solid face, for example, or when you're working with cubes, it's known as solid drawing. So you've got your light coming there. That'll be kind of, depending on where your light source is, that can be solid. You've got your shade in there to create your depth. And that's what the 11th point refers to in the most part. Solid drawing. Perspective. Depth. Sort of 3D kind of style, returning 2D to 3D. All about creating depth for your solid drawing. So we'll create a camera view to incorporate, obviously, as I say, solid drawing, appeal, timing, exaggeration, solid drawing and appeal. Just need an L in there, don't we now, for T? Oh there. Tesla. Nice to have his money, wouldn't it? Oh, we're going off piece there. So, that's the basics of those 4 points. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and do a nice bit of polish on this flight cycle. I'll tweak a bit of timing, for example. Get a bit more fluidness on the wings. Create a bit more drag. Create a bit more appeal. Possibly exaggerate a little bit more. Set up some staging, which relates to your solid drawing as well. Solid drawing and staging kind of like go out hand in hand, really. Them two do. And I shall come back. I'll explain to you what I've done for the final polish. So I'll see you in a bit, guys. Right, let's just bring you back for this last part then. Show you what I've done with the polishing. Let's just press play and just analyse this. And I'll just turn my screencast keys on. And fire up my Epic pen. Just let that roll for a minute. Need to update that. So that's the final animation. You've got 3 different camera views there. And you can do that. Control plus B in your timeline. You set your 3 cameras up. There's already one in the scene. You can just Shift D to duplicate that. And then you'll put your camera into the position you want it. You can see the 3 cameras there, look. And if you've got your camera selected and you go into your timeline, just press Control B, you'll bind it. So it'll switch between views in your view there. So that was just aesthetically setting up the staging a bit. So what did we do on the animation? Well, let's just select the pose mode and go into our graph editor, for example. It was 28 frames, wasn't it? Our cycle, flight cycle. So you want to multiply 28. Well, I think I've done it by 6. 28 times 6 is 168. If you look in your timeline, 168, 28 times 6. You need to stay on multiple integers to keep it cycling. And the reason I cycled it past, you don't have to do that, but the reason I cycled it past the 28 is because I wanted to chuck a blink in there and some eye darts. And obviously if you're doing that over a second, it's too much. So if you're not going to add the eye darts and the blinks, you don't have to extend the timeline. But in our graph editor, you just have to select it, press N. Sorry, not B, I pressed the wrong one there. Press N, add a cycles modifier, and you'll cycle your curve then. For example, this Y location, look, it's cycling infinitely. If you zoom in there, cycling. So the main thing I've done was on the timing of the route. So he's going downwards, but he's slow out a little bit there. And then as the wings push down, you think about it, that's going to push the body up. And in a bird cycle, flight cycle, there's not so much up and down in a body. But remember this last part, I'm trying to exaggerate things a bit. So there's your exaggeration. You're up and down in the body. More exaggerated than it would be in a proper flight cycle. I worked on the, obviously I've said about the blink, you can just do that by keying your channels there, which is simply there, look. Happens over 5 frames. Generally 1 to 2 frames. 1 to 2 frames for an eye dart. And I know I was on about the blink. That's usually about, depends how cartoony you want it, that's over like 4 frames, the blink. But an eye dart generally happens over a frame or 2. That's your master control for your eye dart, where you can move them separately for just the one eye. Then the timing of the wings, that was quite an important thing I done. I just went in and really got some nice, really tried to sculpt these curves nicely. And we had our offset, didn't we? We got a nice offset in the wings. And it's not dead symmetrical, even though the flight cycle is pretty symmetrical. I've just broke it up a little bit by not having it dead symmetrical. So there you can see it's not dead symmetrical. It's known as breaking the symmetry a bit. So it's not as contrived. And as it comes up, let's start with it going down. Look at that nice drag we've got there. Nice little C curve, nice and appealing. That's how you're creating your appeal. And there we've even got a bit of appeal there of it dragging still. Things aren't straight, they're not linear. That's how you get your appeal. And if you select, for example, all your curves of the wings, I think there's six bones for the. I actually added a bit in X as well, a little bit of X. But the Z is where most of the magic happens in this flight cycle on the wings. And you've got nice curves, haven't you, there? That's what you want to look for. You want to look for drag, overlap, breaking of joints, lead and follow. And a lot of that relates to overlap. So important to overlap in animation. You can see the wings going down, they're dragging still a bit, and then overlapping. Generally, you'll get if you explain this in other lessons. In general, you'll get like your C curve, and then you'll get a bit of a S curve. And then back into your C curve. And it's got a peel, hasn't it? Them wings, the peeling, which is our 12th principle. C, S, I. Not CSI Miami. C curves, S curves, and I. I is quite linear, straight. So generally you don't go for that. But that's quite a well used term in art, that is. CSI for your curves. Let's just trash that. So that's where I polished up my wings. Got some lovely, nice flowing curves in there. It's a cool little character, this. Really good for practicing stuff like flight cycles and animation principles. And I really recommend downloading this rig. Literally a couple of dollars. I mean, yeah, that's nothing, is it? I spent £15,000 learning animation from Animation Mentor. So I certainly don't think a couple of dollars will break the bank to learn. And all this is free on YouTube for you now, so you can learn all this. It's very good, am I to you? So yeah, there's your lovely little flight cycle. Got our eye darts in there. Nice smooth up and down movement. I added a bit of movement into these as well. These eye stalks. If you select your X, you can go over all of them and go to cycles to cycle it. And fix up the curve. It's got a lovely flow to it. So yes, cycles modifier. So useful in Blender and in animation in general. So you can't really see a lot of movement on it. I think a lot of the movement was in our Z rotation channels. I'm not sure I added. I've added it to the screen right. I don't think I added much to the screen left. That's all it is there. Just that, and then selecting those two. Drag and hold X in that one. Drag and hold X. And if you select them all, you can see now you've created some overlap by offsetting your curves. That's just so important in animation. That's why the graph editor is so important. Offsetting. And you want to be doing that in your graph editor, because you can see your curves, look. That's what animation's all about, your curves. And then yeah, I said, like I said, I added the cameras. So you get a couple of cycles from the front, a couple of cycles from the side, and a couple of cycles at a 3/4 view. So let's just do a final. And what I'll do, I'll light this. It's actually got some lights in this rig when you purchase it. And I've adjusted them and I'll do a final render for this for my Instagram. I've just duplicated some of the planes, but I haven't gone into much detail on that. But I've got plenty of tutorials on setting up infinite planes and lighting, if you want to light your scene. The main thing for this was the animation. So let's just go through these 4 last principles then, before we wrap up. What did we want to explore? We wanted to explore 9, 10, 11 and 12. Timing. Exaggeration. Solid drawing. Appeal. That's what we wanted to explore in this one. So let's just loop it again and have a look if we achieve that. Well, principle number 9, to me, that timing feels pretty good. That's the kind of timing you'll get in a flight cycle. 24 frames a second. So 1 second is 24 frames. Timing feels quite nice to me there. Could be tweaked a little bit more. But in general, that's not too bad. Exaggeration. Well, as I said, doesn't move up and down as much as that a flight cycle bird when it's flapping. But in this, it's exaggerated. There's a lot more up and down, isn't there? And also, for the exaggeration part, the wings. In general, they wouldn't break as much as that. So we've exaggerated the wings a bit and the up and down. Solid drawing. Like I said before, you want to be looking for volumes, perspective, depth. We've got that there, haven't we? It's not linear. It's not flat. We've got some solid drawing in there. In that camera angle, that's how we've achieved our solid drawing. Fair enough, it's a little bit flat from the front. It's got some solid drawing and staging to it. Let's just trash that. Final point was appeal. There's definitely some appeal in there. There's appeal in the wings. Look how loose they look. Not perfect, but not too bad. There's a nice looseness to it. And a looseness to an animation and fluidness creates appeal. We explained earlier, our CSI Curves that creates appeal. There's some eye darts in there. There's a little blink. Nice up and down. Nice perspective there. So yeah, there's definitely appeal in there as well. It's appealing, it's not dull. And obviously appeal, not from an animation perspective per se, but when you look at the environments, lighting as well, and that creates appeal. From an animation perspective, yes, I think that has got some appeal. So that is going to be the end of this 3-part animation series, where we've used 3 rigs. We used DD, Ali, and Kiki. It's just cost a couple of dollars, and they're perfect for learning animation. And we explored all 12 principles in this course. There's a link in the description to a sheet that goes through them, tells you more about it as a PDF, and that's free as well. PDF, free PDF for you. So I hope you found that useful. Going through all of these 12 principles. And I encourage you to add a few lights and render that out and get it onto your Instagram, get it onto your portfolio. So that, guys, is going to be the end of the 3-part series on 12 principles of animation. I'll be back very soon with some more stuff. So, see you soon, guys. Thanks. Peace.